Hello, good morning, and welcome to another live stream for QuantWheel. Today is Thursday, the 20th, and as usual, we'll go through the market updates, some product updates, and have a Q&A at the end. So if you have any questions, help with setting up your QuantWheel, write them down either here in the chat, or you can just send them into Discord as well. Let me just share the link to the stream in Discord. And then we will get started. All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome in. All right. So there are some questions about adding Greeks about your whole portfolio. That's in the works. And without further ado, let's start with some of the updates. So thanks to the user feedback, we've prioritized all of your feature requests and bug reports. So if you have something you would like to see or you hate about the product, let us know, and we do prioritize that. All right, as you can see, Live Lab is right now live. You can see here in the top left a cool new thing that can give you an overview of a ticker. So for example, for silver, it has GEX heatmap, VEX heatmap, and the ideas for CSPs and CCs, basically similar to what you have in the screener, but for one particular ticker. Let's take a look at, let's say, Microsoft. And it's loading up the same thing as well. So we can see a big node on Microsoft for today's expiration at 36 million at 480. So I would expect Microsoft to hold that level or end up near the level for the week. There could be some good trades for Microsoft there. There's also positive VEX concentration. So on regular or slightly falling IV, I would expect it to go slightly up. So it can give you a view of the deals, possible deals. You could basically get 327 or 30% annualized yield if you just sell the cash you could put around this level. All right, next up we have some settings changes. If you have some of the brokers that allow you to that basically have a different style of reporting. So for example, Wealthsimple, when you roll, they don't give us two different transactions. They give us just one leg transaction. And if you would like to fill up some of the details by yourself, or you see some very old data that you just want to erase, you can now modify the broker transactions by enabling it here in your preferences. The reason why we didn't enable this before is copy trading. We want everyone who gets featured as a copy trader to make sure their data is transparent and not modified. So if you enable this, you can, but it will prevent you from being featured as a copy trader. So after that, you can modify your transactions in the transaction list for the journal and the whole wheel, but you will get you will get out of the copy trading feature list. And then let's say you start overriding a bunch of stuff and you decide later in the future you want to get featured as a copy trader, you can just revert all of the all of the overrides for the journal right here. So it's a two-way door. You can do either or, and you won't lose much. All right, next up we have the market update. So let me just get my desktop up and running. We have a bunch of wonderful things getting ready. I'm just sharing my whole desktop right now, entire screen. All right, so this is the TradingView desktop plus a QuantWheel bridge. As you can see, there's a lot more layers to it right now with VEX, GEX, heatmap, histogram, and whale prints. We're just testing the last bits, and then we will be releasing it. I wanted to start with SPY and just comment on what happened. There's a lot of misinformation out there about the Fed starting to print money again. So they are buying back the 30 like long-dated bonds, but they're not buying it with cash that they print. They're buying it with cash they get from selling 2-year bonds or short-term bonds. So basically, they're just refinancing that, similar to what you would do with paying off your credit cards with a new credit card, right? You didn't spend your cash from the bank, but you opened up a new credit line. In theory, that sounds okay. What was the big deal? You don't increase the debt, you just push it from longer term to shorter term maturity. The problem is governments love long dated bonds because it gives them security. The governments need many years for planning and growth. And if you push all of this debt into the 2 years, you're in a very fragile state. So that's a telling sign that that could be a problem. And that's why things like gold went up and initially SPY as well. So just to make sure this is not a QE, this is not silent QE, no new liquidity entering the market. I think people realize that after the initial hype. But it is very significant for the fiscal long-term America story. And one funny correlation is last time they did this was, I'll show you in the chart. Last time they did this was right about here in March 2000, one day before the market top. So I'm not saying this could happen again, just a funny correlation that this did happen. All right, let's also stay with SPY and go into the smaller time frame, let's say 15 minutes, and get back to the market. All right, where are we today? And zoom in a little bit. So you can see here, you can now modify and see the actual gamma modified through time with these bubbles, and flows at the bottom as well. But you also get your VEX heat map for the 0DT, 1DT scaled out appropriately. And you can switch also to your GEX heat map. This should be quite quick, as you see. And you can see where the negative gamma nodes are in the heat map as well as the histograms. I think that's going to be very useful not to have it, just for you to see how it behaves through time, not just with the GEX histogram on the right side. It's my first trade I took was on SIL. It's probably, I think we've seen it together on the previous live stream on Thursday. There was a huge node at, or actually it was silver, SLV, a huge node at 60 that showed up on Tuesday that we saw on the live stream. And as you can see, boom, we went through that level in just 2 days. So there was some nice trades out there. The SPY we posted in the Discord, and it did trick us a little bit. Yesterday there was a big green node at 775, there was also a big node down there, also both positive gamma nodes, and then the market decided to go to the bottom one. So it's not a 100% game, but it does help out with clarity in your trading. All right, let's just take a pause to see if there's any questions in Discord, and then we can move forward. So I like to see some of the market updates right now, and starting with Baidu. I've posted in the Discord that this is probably a generational opportunity. So they are at $80. If Baidu was to go to $80, it would be valued exactly as their net asset value. So basically, they would be worth $24 billion market cap, and they would have $24 billion in assets. So no growth projections, no nothing. So even if this level is at $90, it's a very, very interesting and compelling investment, if you ask me. So compared to, so they're beating Waymo on the self-driving cars with more drives, cheaper cars, more countries in the world that they are adopted in. But Google is at what, 3 trillion? This is 30 billion. So the discount is just extreme. And I think eventually market will catch up. So the upside on some of these emerging market stocks is huge. And that's why I don't mind selling aggressive cash secure puts on them. And yeah, I'll just sell new ones right now on Baidu. When we saw the drop here, I sold some cash secure puts at 90, very aggressive. The market rebounded. But then I saw yesterday there was okay, let me just show you. We saw this purple and negative gamma regime, which told us, and plus the call wall, which told me there is not immediate conviction for the breakout to more of the upside. So it helped me to just close those cash secure puts for I don't know, 25% gain. And now that it starts dropping again aggressively, I can re-enter those contracts again. So it's just boosting. Seeing this live can boost your profits. So still, yeah, Baidu is a great pick for cash secure puts at this moment, in my opinion. Not a financial advice yet. We might become financial advisors, but not there as of now. Alibaba reported earnings this morning, and there was some initial shock with a huge rebound as well. So I also sold very aggressive Alibaba cash secure puts this morning because, again, the structure and the positive gamma, huge positive gamma in the 130 levels, and huge put wall at 125. So I think I just sold 125 put for today, getting 2% premium or something, and then in one day, which is great. If I get assigned, great. If not, I had a great premium collection day. As you can see, this is updating live. We just saw a new node come up with even more positive gamma. So a positive gamma in this section, 115, is adding a lot of delta. So we could see a quick uptick in Alibaba right as we see this in live session. So I think we just did it. So this was this 1 minute tick. That was the positive gamma push from the in the money calls. And then I know this is just two Chinese stocks, and I could be biased, but I'm just looking at value and if I can hold this for the long term. So I think people think of Alibaba as like some marketplace, but they actually have 1/3 of a Google Cloud revenue. So you get a huge discount compared to Google, but you get almost the same revenue as Google in the cloud that is growing in triple digits. I didn't go through the earnings in details, but yeah, I'm bullish on these stocks. Why I'm also bullish? Let me just show you one more thing that I'm wheeling is EEM. Not sure if anyone heard about it before. Emerging markets fund, 30 billion in assets under management, some slight dividend. But emerging markets benefit from the weak dollar. I won't go into the details on why, but we do see dollar weakening from the whatever Fed's doing, from other countries selling U.S. government bonds. The only thing propping up dollar right now is the oil crisis, and I think that's why U.S. is kind of dragging out the war, because the dollar is struggling. Let me just show you in comparison to euro. Obviously, the short-term drop happened the moment Treasury announced the news yesterday, but in the long term, there's a clear bear flag in the, like, if you zoom out over the 10 years, 15 years, a huge bear flag that did break down. It tried to kind of reclaim these levels, but it's giving up on steam. And if you've seen this pattern in stocks, I think it works similar in the forex as well. Governments can intervene, but the charts usually don't lie, and there's like news that just help support the price action. So I think price action is usually in various cases a leading indicator, and news just help the price action instead of the other way around. So I'm in the US. I am a long US just by living here, right, earning dollars. And then if you're in the same position, again, not a financial advice, but it would be smart to diversify against the dollar weakness in the potential years. So if you're earning in dollars, if you are in the US, if you have US assets, you are already long US dollar. So it will be smart to make sure you're hedging appropriately. Right, there's a question, and then yeah, how do you hedge against the dollar? So you could do FX, like there's a bunch of FX. You can see it here, Investco, currency share. So you can say FXC is against euro, FXF is like Swiss franc. So you could just buy this mutual fund and get exposure to Swiss francs. That's one way. Another way is just XLP, for example, energy. I think it's breaking out. It has even further upside. Then another one is just EEM, the emerging markets. It's in the very high levels already, but it's a good diversifier. Equities is one way to hedge, and then yeah, there's also some, let's say, foreign real estate, or like real estate funds. That's some of the few ways. Okay, there's a question: where is the new ticker landing page? So if you go to the dashboard, just share the screen again. All right, stop and share screen. Here in the top left corner, next to the QuantWheel logo, there's a ticker search list, and you can find your tickers for the landing page. All right, I think that's all I wanted to go through today. We're really in a very interesting time, and hope you guys are safe. I'm not trying to be a bear on the market. I think equities and the economy are completely different beasts, and you need to understand how bonds, equities, economy, employment, interest rates, they all work together. and weak economy could be good for equities. So in the short term, let's say. I think that's basically it. We went through most of the recent updates. You will see a bunch of also product improvements if you're using the product, and let us know if you have any questions. This commenting on this live stream in the chat is always welcome, or you can email us at hello@quantwheel.com. We will be adding a ticket support system right here in the there's a help button. Right now it just leads you to Discord, but in case people are not comfortable with Discord, they will be able to open up a ticket right from the portal very, very soon. So thank you all for watching. Thank you for the support. There is a huge growth in QuantWheel, a bunch of ideas, support requests. So if you don't get to it immediately, be assured we are watching and taking your inputs very, very seriously. So